Hey guys, few designs. We are here back again with our next lesson. If you remember, in the previous lesson we had just finished doing the detailing for the upper limbs, for the upper arm, well, the brachial and the antebrachial. In this tutorial we'll be moving on further into lesson 8, where we will block out the hand, and I hope you're looking forward to it. And well, without any further ado guys, let's get into it. And that was our last position on this, and from here we will add in another structure, another mesh to our structure. That is far better phrasing. And we're just gonna click shift. Let me activate my screencast keys here for you guys. Sorry guys. Yeah, just try to make this as helpful as possible. And the screencast keys, and just hold shift, click, and select the wrist point, the carpal tunnel, aka the wrist point, aka the carpal region, and we will press shift add as always. Whoa, sorry, not shift snap, shift A to add a rounded cube. And as always, we shall one radius it, and the number of subdivisions. Arc means subdivisions, not arc as in power, not arc as in Noah's Ark, but arc as in the number of edge loops that are going to be added into this, a number of subdivisions. And we shall go with 20 as always. 20 just seems to be a very nice number to work with. We'll go into top view. We'll scale this down, yeah, just a little bit over there, and it's looking quite nice. And scale down a little bit more. And as you can see how the quads are facing, we don't really have to, but I just like to do it this way now for some reason. It's unnecessary, but just going to rotate it so the quads are kind of at least facing this arm direction. There we go. And we shall go into the front view, and that's by pressing okay, look, just come into the next lesson, and I promise you this time I will tell you, squiggly key above the tab, squiggly key above the tab into front view, like that. Alright, actually just realize that if you go there, it'll zoom into the object. I've never done that before. True story. I didn't know. Hey, we're learning something new here, guys. See, humble enough. I'm not the master of all things. That's pretty cool. That is freaking cool. So I don't know if you remember when I told you press period to zoom into the actual object. I assume it's essentially the same thing. Actually, there's one great way to test this out. Let's just select the torso, go into sculpt mode, and okay, there our zoom is kind of finished. If I press period, it has zoomed all the way to whatever point I guess this was facing, the last pressed part of the torso, maybe even. Okay, now if I do that, and then we try the squiggly thing and get to view selected, and it just did the exact same thing. Okay, so it's one and the same thing. That's pretty interesting. I like that. So this, wow, I did not know at all, guys. Guess I haven't played enough yet. Anyway, so we'll go into this view. Actually, let's go to our top view, go into our sculpt mode with the grab brush. So if you notice, there's a whole lot of grab brush using up in here. Yeah, it's part of this process. I guess it's a very popular method in terms of my working method. And just pull this out until we get more or less to the distance that we want our what are they called, metacarpal area to end. Metacarpal, which just means to the end of your palm, to the end of the edge where your knuckles will lie. And what we're gonna do here is create a slight bit of an angle here. And once again, guys, I'm kind of learning on the way with you as well. I kind of just get the urge to do things a little bit differently after I've started. So I get to learn with you guys. I just feel a bit of an inspiration to change things up a little bit and just try a different method, which just seems like it'll work a lot better. There we go. And now we're just flattening out the palm, the palmer, and bringing this in a bit. There we go. And bringing this in. There we go. And what we can do here is let's press M and open our mask key. By the way, when you're holding the squiggly key above the tab button, what you can do is, with it held down, if you keep the squiggly key held in, when you go and hover over one of these views that you would like to choose, and on release it will automatically switch to that view. So if you hold down the squiggly key and then release it over top view, it'll work. It'll jump into that very viewpoint, which is a pretty useful function actually. I use it very often. If you notice, a lot of the times you'll see me kind of switch between modes very quickly, and it's because I'm using that very same method. Yeah, it's a pretty cool way to function. I like it. Okay, now press the G button, shift everything up a little bit. We need to flatten our palmer, and that's looking a little bit better. Wow. Alt M releases the mask over it, and we have more or less an idea of how we want this to look and how it will look at the end of the day, which is very important. There we go. Okay, let me come into this view once again. What I want to do is narrow this part of the mesh. When we come to flesh it out, it's not quite as broad as the rest of the palmer. The flesh here is very thinned out. It's a very good spot to have your what's the best way to describe it? Your subdivision surface. Okay, there we go. And we can drag that part back. Now if you notice, there's a slight angle between your knuckles, your knuckling angle. The middle finger knuckle point will stick out a bit more than the others, but in general you are looking at a a very tilted angle to them, to your knuckle area, your phalangeal area, from the metacarpal area. Alright, now that that's done, let's go back into object mode. And sorry this is taking a little while, just want to explain a few things. When you're working on your own, as always, keep reminding you this will go by a whole lot faster. It won't be the same as this. Alright, and there we go. We will rotate, and we're gonna start blocking out our phalanges, jeez, sorry, very cheesy of me. There we go. And once again, as well, a little bit of my first time working this way. I very much look forward to it. Okay, and then G on the GZ, just positioning these accurately. That looks about good. We're looking like we're gonna create a Pokemon here. Nice. Alrighty. Then what we will do is actually remain in top view, shift duplicate, and move this out a little bit. And with all of them, what you're trying to do here is actually shift duplicate. We're gonna kind of create a picture and scale more or less where we picture the knuckles being for each part of each segment of the phalanges, and obviously with each section it'll get a bit shorter, and we're looking at a scale reduction of about maybe a quarter of the length each time. Yeah, there's about a quarter reduction, and I assume it'll be the same in terms of the metacarpals and the phalanges, which is not necessarily true. I just realized now. And if you want to know how I know this, I just palpated my own hands. Like I said, always work with reference. I always check. It just helps with doing things accurately and having work that looks good. Know what I mean? Alright, there we go. I'm going to press scale just to kind of get a nice split and separation of these. Scale. This actually has to move a lot further back, which is quite alright. And move this one here, and move this one here, where it should be good. It is good, and it is very good. There we go. Alrighty, let me scale this down as well. Actually scale all of them down. We have a slight reduction in terms of the knuckle area. That's without kind of palpating the part of the fingers. But knuckle width is definitely a little bit wider than the beginning of the second segment of the phalanges. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. That sounds about right. Alrighty. And here we go. Then GZ. And remember, we're gonna get a little bit of an angle. We want to kind of get them at a slight angle, because in a relaxed position your fingers will generally kind of, they'll create a little bit of an angle between the ends of the phalanges. So I'll drop this one here, then this one has to drop a little bit further down than the others, and GZ, and drop this one even further down. And this will be our general working method. And from here, let's just move this one a little bit closer, and we want to get the hand to be quite big, to be fair with you. There we go. Alright, so these are there's a first segment of knuckles. Don't know if that's an accurate method of calling them. I'll get to learn properly in a bit as well. It takes time, all these things. And now we can come up here, go back into sculpt mode, and just use the G brush and yank the sphere towards the next segment, and go back into object mode and yank this sphere into position. And that's about all we have to do with all of them, and this will be our kind of blocking out method. And now I am personally a fan of I don't know why I did it that way, very weird. Supposed to do it this way. There we go. I am a fan of the whole fish fry fingers, so I'm gonna work with it that way. And back to the grab brush. So all I'm doing is just slightly getting these flattened edges. So when I come sculpt, when we sculpt here, you know, we'll have a good idea of the kind of where to be adding volume and sharpening on the edges and where not to. And there we go. And there's our thumb done. Okay, then we'll just time lapse this part, but this is essentially how we're gonna block it out. That's, you're gonna follow this pattern the whole way down. And I'll just finish up doing this myself.